This is the theme for a show about food. They'll be chopping and dicing and simmering too. There'll be various ingredients mixed all together in various amounts that she doesn't quite measure. There's pots and there's pans and some knives and a sink, and once in a while an alcoholic drink. So watch when you can and you'll learn something new about spices and rices and some kind of stew. And this is the part where we tell you the name of the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to FATKID. I'm Jason Schneider. Jennifer was my wife. I loved her very much. She loved this show. She loved cooking and sharing her joy for cooking and taking care of her family with anybody who would watch. And I know that she wanted to keep doing these episodes, and I know she wanted to share this particular recipe with everyone. So I am going to take it over for this one time as a tribute to her. This is her Portuguese soup. It quickly became a family favorite. I remember very early when we were dating, she was sick at home, but she had promised she was going to make us the soup. So I went over and picked up Danny and met her at the door, and she had a few containers of the soup that she had just made, and I brought it home, and me and Annabelle and Adam and Danny enjoyed the soup together. And ever since then, it was just one of the things that everybody looked forward to. I would send pictures to the kids when it was cooking, and they would be jealous. So I hope you take the time to watch. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you share this around, because that's what she would have wanted. All right, I'm gonna try to get through this and not be super sad or upset, even though it's kind of what I feel on the inside. But this is a celebration of one of the recipes that she was super proud of. So I am going to start with the first thing that needs to get done, and that is some beef. She liked to use like stew beef or chuck roast, cut it up, something that has a little bit of fat content to it. If you use a real lean meat, even like a London broil, it can dry out a lot even though you're cooking it in soup. Sounds weird, but yeah, things can definitely dry out if the meat is not, kind of riddled with fat. You want to have some nice marbling in there. So I cut down, it's about a 3-pound roast. Yeah, this makes a lot. I suppose you could certainly adjust the quantities in half if you wanted to make a smaller batch, but go big or go home. I have a big pot. So first thing I'm going to do is brown the beef, set it aside, and then we'll do some of the next steps. All right, so I have a large, heavy bottomed stock pot on the stove with some olive oil in the bottom. You can see how it's kind of glistening like that, so it's ready to go. When you're browning your meat, you want to do it in small batches so that it doesn't pile up and just steam itself. So I'm just going to put some in here and mix that around a little bit to get brown all over the outside. I'll scoop that out, put it out on the side, and just keep going until I have all the meat with a nice little brown coating on it. And then I'll show you what's next. All right, now that all the meat is browned and out and kept to the side, I'm going to put the chorizo in there. It's about a pound of chorizo. And I'm going to throw in one large onion chopped. And put them in at the same time. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. Move this around a little bit. Just let the chorizo start to sweat out a little bit. And get the onions a little translucent, so this will take a few minutes. Once the onions start to look a little bit clear, I'm going to come back with a whole lot of garlic to put in here. All right, while I'm waiting for the chorizo to cook with the onions a little bit, I figured I'd come over here and give you a heads up on the next step. So I have a whole lot of garlic that I chopped here. probably 10 or more reasonable size cloves. Lots of garlic goes in here. So once that cooks down a little bit, I'm going to throw the garlic in, stir it around for just like 30 seconds, no more than a minute. And once that's ready to go, I have a few things to put in. Jen always wanted to use chicken stock and beef stock, and I convinced her to just go with broths. So she wanted 1 carton of each, a little bit of both, to help add their own aspects of flavor. And then about 24 ounces of either beer or white wine. Doesn't particularly matter. She always said you should use a wine that you wanted to drink. Well, I don't like drinking wine. It all tastes terrible to me. So, but use what you like. That's the best advice that she would give you. Use the stuff that you like. It'll add the flavor of things that you enjoy into this particular dish. So once that goes in, once the garlic has cooked for like a minute, no more than a minute, I'm going to go in with the wine first to deglaze the bottom, because there's all kinds of delicious crusty bits from cooking down the meat and the onions. Get in there with a wooden spoon and really kind of scrape at it, get that stuff all off the bottom, get it into the soup. The onions and the chorizo look pretty good, so I'm going to throw in all of this garlic. Get it all in there. Try to stir this around a bit. See all that brown at the bottom of the pan? That is delicious. You're going to want to get that up very soon. Trying to film this holding and cooking at the same time is rather tricky, but I only have 1 tripod and I didn't really feel like moving it around. So go me. Alright. I'm going to pour in a little bit of the wine first to deglaze the bottom. You hear that nice sizzle. I'm going to get in here with my wooden spoon and scrape that bottom of the pan clean. Get all of that stuff up because I want it to flavor the soup. Alright. Looks pretty decent. At this point, I'm gonna, before I add the rest of the liquids, I'm gonna add a couple things. Be right back. These are the next couple of additions that I'm gonna put in the pot right now. On the right is some hot chopped wet peppers, about 2 tablespoons of that. And then on the left is a large can of kidney beans and a little bit of brown sugar. Jen actually preferred our secret ingredient of a can of baked kidney beans, but they are very hard to find around here. Sometimes Portuguese has them, but it's not regular baked beans. They're baked kidney beans. That's why I have some brown sugar. If she couldn't get those kidney beans, then she would use regular ones and just add a little bit of brown sugar. So I have like a tablespoon and a half of brown sugar just to kind of mimic that flavor. So I'm going to put that in, stir that stuff up, and then we'll do the rest of the liquids. All right, so I've dumped all of that in. I forgot to mention, Jen did not drain the kidney beans. She preferred leaving some of that liquid in there. She said it helped the viscosity. You get a little bit of like thickness and body into the soup, so I don't either. So I'm just going to stir all this stuff in. We're good to go. Next up will be some salt. A couple good turns of salt. Maybe like 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm going to put the camera down so I can put in 2 packages of Goya Saison con Azafran. For now, all of my add-ins and spices, until I get a chance to taste it, are in. I'm going to add the meat back in. I'm going to add all the meat back in. Stir this up, get this coated in all of those seasonings and flavorings that I just put in there, just for a second. And then I'm going to add all of the liquids, so the rest of the wine or beer, whichever you're using, and then the 2 boxes of stock. Okay, all of the liquids are in, and I stirred everything up. And now it's just a matter of waiting. I'm gonna wait at least an hour before I do anything else. I wanna get this up to a boil and then reduce the temperature so it just simmers for at least an hour. As it's cooking, you periodically wanna get in there and check pieces of that meat, the beef that's in there, and see how tender it is. As soon as it's tender, that's when you'll want to think about adding the remainder of the ingredients that go into this soup. But the longer you let it cook, the more the flavors will meld together and the better the beef will be in the soup. But you definitely want it tender. You don't want a tough little bite of beef when you're eating this soup. So I've got my heat on high just to get the soup up to a boil. I'll keep an eye on it and then reduce it to a simmer. All right, everybody, now comes the hardest part, which is waiting. The soup's cooking. It's not really ready to eat yet, but it still smells delicious. So I am going to do my best to keep busy and wait for about an hour, and then I'll keep checking on the soup. And when I think it's getting close, I'm going to come back so we can put in the last 2 ingredients. I have some potatoes chopped up and ready to go. You don't want to put those in too early, because if you do, they will just cook themselves into oblivion. And you won't even see them anymore. They'll just like disintegrate in the soup. So we always put those in really only like 15-20 minutes before we're ready to eat. And the very last thing that'll go in is the kale, because that you only need to get in there for a few minutes before you're ready to serve the soup. So just hang in there. We're gonna sit and wait and try to keep busy like I have been for the past few weeks. Just keep my mind occupied, keep busy, and keep doing stuff. Okay, boys and girls, the soup's been cooking for about an hour. I went in there and tasted the broth. Tastes delicious. The meat is very close to being tender enough, so I am going to put in the potatoes now. And here we go. Stir those up. I have to turn the heat up a little bit to get this back to a boil, and then let this finish cooking. So once the potatoes start to get just before they're ready to be done, then I'm going to put in the kale. Big mountain of kale, and watch that all cook down. So another few minutes, gotta wait again. The potatoes have been cooking for about 10 minutes. I checked them. They're definitely cooked through enough for me. So now I will attempt the impossible task of trying to put all of this kale into that pot with one hand while filming. Here we go. All right. Almost. It's going all over the floor. Okay. Here we go. Just kind of, there we go. Perfect. It looks like a lot, but once you push this stuff down into the liquid, it really will cook down quite a bit. We don't like it super overcooked, so about now is when I'm going to shut the heat off and just let the residual heat kind of cook this. Oh, look at that beautiful color. That green really comes out once it gets heated up. So here we go. Yep, shutting off the burner. Take this off the burner and just let this cook just for a couple minutes. And then I'm going to scoop out some delicious bowls of soup. And that's pretty much it. It's about ready to go. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I made it through. Here it is, my wife's Portuguese kale soup. Potatoes, meat, chorizo, onions, kale, and a delicious broth. A little spicy, a little salty, but really excellent. Now that the fall's coming, nothing like having a nice hot soup. Again, I want to thank everybody for their support. You guys really made my wife super happy every time you commented on one of her videos. Every time she got a like, and whenever we posted a new video, she was on it all the time, asking me to check the numbers and all that. So you made us happy. This was something that we did together. Started in the stupid pandemic, but it was something that we bonded over and spent a lot of time doing, and it brought us closer together, and I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it a lot. But anyway, I know she wanted to have this recipe out there, so I couldn't think of a better way to send this off. I don't know. But I hope you try this recipe. If you've never had it before, it might surprise you with how tasty it is. And thanks for watching. Bye. I want to make you smile whenever you're sad. Carry you around when your arthritis is bad. All I want to do is grow old with you. I'll get your medicine when your tummy aches. Build you a fire if the furnace breaks. Oh, it could be so nice growing old with you. I'll miss you, kiss you, give you my coat when you are cold. Need you, feed you, even let you hold the remote control. So let me do the dishes in our kitchen sink, put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. So I could be the man who grows old with you.